Imagine this. You work hard for years. Not just hard, but smart. You show up early, you leave late. You solve problems that other people can't figure out. You're the person people come to when something goes wrong because they trust you to fix it. You've built a reputation. You've built a career. And every year, like clockwork, you get a raise. Nothing dramatic, but steady. 2%, 3%, maybe 4% if it's a good year. It feels like progress. It feels like the system is working. It feels like all that hard work is paying off. But here's the weird part, the part that starts to creep in around year 5 or year 10. Your life doesn't really change. The raises come, the money increases, but the feeling of progress slows down. More money, but not more freedom. More experience, but not more control. More responsibility, but not more options. You're doing everything right. You're playing by the rules. And yet, somehow, the game has stopped rewarding you the way it used to. Now here's the question that almost nobody asks, the question that could change everything. What if the problem isn't how hard you work? What if it's not your skills, your performance, or your dedication? What if the problem is how the system is built? The invisible structure that determines your income, your growth, and your ceiling, without you ever seeing it? I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It would help me a lot. Today, I'm going to show you something most people realize too late, often after decades of working harder and harder for diminishing returns. I'm going to show you why working harder stops increasing your income, why the rules change without anyone telling you, and what actually changes the game. The real secret to breaking through the ceiling you didn't even know was there. Let's imagine a simple game. A game that almost everyone plays, but almost nobody understands the rules of. You're climbing a ladder. In the beginning, it feels amazing. The ladder is solid. The steps are clear. Every time you put in effort, you move up. You learn a new skill, you get a promotion. You take on more responsibility, you get a raise. You solve a big problem, you get a bonus. Effort equals reward. It's fair. It's linear. It makes sense. You start at the bottom, and every step you take moves you higher. You earn more, you grow faster, you feel the progress in your bank account and in your life. Everything is working. But then, somewhere along the way, something strange happens. You keep climbing. You're still working hard. You're still improving. You're still doing everything that worked before. But now, each step moves you less. The raises get smaller relative to your salary. The promotions come slower. The growth that used to feel exponential starts to feel flat. You're still going up. Technically. But the ladder has changed. And no one told you. This is the illusion of progress. The feeling that you're moving forward when, in reality, you're just moving in place. The raises are real, but the progress is an illusion. The title might change, but the ceiling hasn't moved. Most people believe something that sounds completely fair and logical. They believe, if I perform well, I'll be paid what I'm worth. The market rewards merit. The harder I work, the more I'll earn. And in the beginning, it actually works that way. Your first job, your first promotion, your first few years, the system seems meritocratic. You improve, you earn more. You grow, your salary grows. Your brain learns a pattern. This system is fair. If I keep doing what I'm doing, I'll keep getting what I deserve. So you double down. You work harder. You take on more. You prove yourself again and again. You become indispensable. You do everything right. But here's the truth that the system doesn't advertise, the truth that becomes painfully clear after about 5 or 10 years. It's only fair at the start. The meritocracy only applies to the early rungs of the ladder. Once you're inside, once you're part of the system, the rules quietly change. And you're not told about the change. You're just expected to accept it. By the way, write in the comments what topic you would like us to cover next. Behind the scenes, companies don't decide your salary by asking, "How good is this person?" They don't have a meeting where they debate your merit and assign a number that perfectly reflects your value. They use a system, a structure, a framework that determines what you can earn, regardless of your performance. Imagine a box. A salary box with 3 levels. Bottom, middle, top. That box is your salary range for your role. It was set years ago, based on market data, budget constraints, and internal equity. It has nothing to do with you personally. Here's the rule that governs your income. You can't leave the box. No matter how good you are, no matter how hard you work, no matter how many problems you solve, you cannot exceed the top of your box. The box is the ceiling. And the ceiling is not designed to move with you. So what happens? At first, you move fast inside the box. You start at the bottom, you prove yourself, you get raises, you climb toward the middle. It feels good. It feels like progress. But after a few years, you hit the top. You've reached the maximum that the system is willing to pay for your role. And then, everything slows down. The raises become tiny. The promotions become impossible. The growth that felt so natural at the beginning becomes a struggle. Not because you stopped growing. Not because you stopped being valuable. But because the system stopped moving. You didn't hit your ceiling. You hit the system's ceiling. Here's the most dangerous part of this entire system. The part that keeps people stuck for years, sometimes decades, without ever understanding why. Nobody tells you about the ceiling. There's no meeting where your manager sits you down and says, "Congratulations, you've reached the maximum we're willing to pay you for this role. From now on, your raises will barely keep up with inflation, and your growth will stop." Instead, you get good reviews, positive feedback, words of appreciation. Your manager tells you you're doing great. The company values you. Keep up the good work. And you get polite raises. 2% here. 3% there. Just enough to feel like something is happening. Just enough to keep you from asking hard questions. Just enough to keep you in the box. And slowly, over time, you fall behind. Not behind your coworkers necessarily, but behind the market. The market value for your skills keeps growing, but your salary stays pinned to the top of the box. New people hired into similar roles are earning what you earn, or more. People who leave are getting significant raises. But you're stuck. You're not falling behind because you're not good enough. You're falling behind because the system is designed to keep you where you are. The trap is silent. The ceiling is invisible. And no one will ever tell you it's there. Now let's compare 2 people. 2 workers with the same skills, same experience, same industry, same starting point. Person A does what most people do. They find a good company, they work hard, they get promoted, they build a career. They stay for 10 years. They're loyal. They're committed. They're rewarded with steady raises and a comfortable position. Person B does something different. Every 2 or 3 years, they switch jobs. Not because they're disloyal, but because they understand how the system works. They understand that new jobs pay current market prices, while old jobs pay old numbers. After 10 years, person B earns significantly more. Sometimes 30%, 40%, even 50% more. Same skills. Same experience. Same industry. Different outcome. Why? Because person B understood something that person A never learned. Staying loyal doesn't pay. It never has. The system doesn't reward loyalty. It rewards movement. This has a name. It's called the loyalty penalty. The cost of staying in one place too long. The price you pay for assuming that hard work and dedication will be recognized and rewarded. The loyalty penalty is real. And it's quietly costing millions of people tens of thousands of dollars every year. Now here's the real secret. The thing that changes everything once you understand it. It's not about working harder. It's not about being smarter or more talented or more dedicated. It's not about putting in more hours or taking on more responsibility. It's about knowing. Because when you sit in a salary conversation, when you're negotiating your raise or your promotion, there's a massive information gap. The company knows your value, at least as they've defined it. They know the market. They know the salary range for your role. They know the top of the box. They know what they're willing to pay and what they're hoping to get away with. And you? Usually, you know almost nothing. You know your salary. You know your reviews. You know what your manager says. But you don't know the market. You don't know the range. You don't know what your peers are making. You don't know what the company would pay to replace you. In any negotiation, the person with more information wins. Every single time. So if you walk into a salary conversation with incomplete information, you're already losing. You're negotiating from weakness without even knowing it. The real advantage, the thing that changes everything, is knowledge. Knowing what you're worth in the market. Knowing what your skills command. Knowing the range for your role. Knowing what others in similar positions are earning. When you have that knowledge, the conversation changes. You're no longer asking for a favor. You're no longer hoping to be recognized. You're stating a fact. This is what I'm worth. This is what the market pays. This is what I expect. Everything changes when you understand your own value. When you know what the market pays for your skills, for your experience, for your contribution. When you have real data, real numbers, real comparables. Not because you became better overnight. Not because you suddenly started working harder. But because now, you can't be ignored. The company can no longer give you the polite 3% raise and expect you to accept it. They can no longer tell you that the budget is tight or that raises are limited. They can no longer keep you in the box without you knowing it's a box. When you know your value, you have power. The power to ask for more. The power to say no. The power to leave. The power to find a place that will pay you what you're worth. And that power doesn't come from working harder. It comes from knowing more. Here's the truth that no one explains clearly, the truth that changes everything about how you think about your career and your income. Your salary is not a reward. It's not a reflection of your value, your merit, or your hard work. It's not something you earn through effort and dedication. Your salary is a negotiation. Every year, sometimes every day, there's a negotiation happening about what you're worth. And the outcome of that negotiation is determined by one thing. What you know. The company asks one question every year. What will this person accept? And your answer depends entirely on what you know about your value, the market, and your options. If you know nothing, you'll accept almost anything. If you know a little, you'll accept a little more. If you know everything, you'll get what you're worth. The ceiling above you, the limit that's been holding you back, the invisible barrier that's been slowing your growth. It's not real. It's not a natural limit. It's not something you earned or deserve. It only exists if you don't see it. It only holds you back as long as you accept it. The moment you see the ceiling, the moment you understand how the system works, you can break through it. Not by working harder, but by knowing more. If you want to understand how to increase your income the smart way, how to break through invisible limits, and how money systems really work, subscribe to this channel. Because here, we don't just talk about money. We don't give generic advice or recycle tips. We show you how the game actually works. The hidden rules. The invisible systems. The real strategies that change your financial life. New videos every week. And before you go, write in the comments one thing you learned today about how salaries really work. One insight you didn't have before. Make it real. Make it yours. Because the moment you see the system, you can start playing it differently. See you in the next video. And before you go, write in the comments one thing you learned today about how salaries really work. One insight you didn't have before. Make it real. Make it yours. Because the moment you see the system, you can start playing it differently. See you in the next video.